This information has been researched, compiled, and brought to you by research analyst Sharri Plaza. Egypt, the land of pharaohs, pyramids, and priceless treasures, has long been a target of colonial greed. For centuries, European powers, driven by a sense of entitlement and a thirst for ancient wonders, looted and plundered Egypt's cultural heritage. They treated Egypt's ancient treasures not as part of a shared human history, but as exotic trophies to be displayed in their museums. This essay will explore the various ways in which this cultural dispossession took place. The arrival of Napoleon Bonaparte in Egypt in 1798 marked a turning point. Napoleon's campaign, driven by imperial ambitions, was also a scientific expedition. Scholars and engineers accompanied the French troops tasked with documenting and studying Egypt's ancient monuments. While their work had some scientific value, it also paved the way for systematic looting. The British, who replaced the French as the dominant power in Egypt, continued the trend of cultural exploitation. The construction of the Suez Canal in the mid-19th century, a project driven by British imperial interests, led to further archaeological discoveries and, inevitably, more looting. The British Museum, established in 1753, became a repository for many of these looted artifacts, showcasing the spoils of empire. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, a watershed moment in archaeology, also highlighted the unequal power dynamics at play. While the discovery was made by Howard Carter, a British archaeologist, the treasures of Tutankhamun's tomb were, after much negotiation, retained by Egypt. This victory, however, was an exception rather than the rule. The methods used to acquire Egyptian antiquities varied, but they often involved a combination of force, coercion, and legal maneuvering. Military expeditions, under the guise of exploration or scientific research, often resulted in the seizure of valuable artifacts. These artifacts were then shipped off to Europe, where they were displayed as symbols of European intellectual superiority. The system of partage, in place throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, further facilitated the removal of Egyptian antiquities. Under this system, foreign archaeological missions were allowed to keep a portion of their finds, often the most valuable pieces, in exchange for conducting excavations. This system, while seemingly fair on the surface, was inherently unequal, as it gave foreign powers a claim to Egypt's cultural patrimony. Beyond outright theft, there was also a more subtle form of cultural dispossession at play. European scholars, working within a colonial framework, often interpreted Egyptian history and culture through a Eurocentric lens. This often resulted in a distorted and incomplete understanding of ancient Egypt, one that reinforced colonial prejudices and power structures. The demand for Egyptian antiquities fueled a thriving black market, further exacerbating the problem of looting. Tourists, eager to take home a piece of ancient Egypt, often unknowingly purchased looted artifacts. This demand created a vicious cycle, encouraging more looting and further depleting Egypt's cultural heritage. The rise of online marketplaces and auction houses in the late 20th and early 21st centuries has only made the trade in looted artifacts easier and more lucrative. Smugglers operating with relative impunity continue to traffic in stolen artifacts, often with the complicity of corrupt officials. The impact of this cultural theft on Egypt has been profound. The loss of these artifacts has deprived Egyptians of a tangible connection to their past, making it more difficult to reconstruct and understand their own history. It has also deprived Egypt of potential economic benefits, as these artifacts could have been a major source of tourism revenue. In recent years, there has been a growing movement for the repatriation of looted artifacts. Egypt, along with other countries that have suffered from colonial plunder, has been increasingly vocal in demanding the return of its stolen heritage. This movement is based on the principle that cultural artifacts belong in their country of origin, where they can be best understood and appreciated. There have been some notable successes in this regard. In 2010, for example, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York returned 19 objects from the tomb of Tutankhamun to Egypt. This was a significant victory, both symbolically and practically, demonstrating that repatriation is possible. However, the road to reclaiming Egypt's stolen heritage remains long and arduous. Many museums and private collectors are reluctant to part with their Egyptian collections, arguing that they are custodians of a shared human history. This argument, however, ignores the historical injustices that led to the acquisition of these artifacts in the first place. The fight for repatriation is not just about recovering lost treasures, it is about restoring a sense of historical justice and cultural pride. It is about ensuring that future generations of Egyptians can connect with their past in a meaningful way. The international community has a moral obligation to support Egypt in this endeavor, to help right the wrongs of the past and ensure that cultural heritage is protected for all humankind. This has been a Sharri Plaza presentation.